Glenn Clark Radio, talking about the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no, stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants. So, Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
Boy, I thought I had it. Boy, I thought it was coming home, as they say. Alas. Good morning. It is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio, and I did not win the GCR bracket contest last night. Congratulations to Mark Terrell from Mark My Word over on at J-Moore, who basically got the entire tournament correct.
What do I get? I got 30th place.
Yeah, you get. I actually legally am allowed to spit on you after the show. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to choose to or not.
Okay.
But it's an option. We just leave that on the table that you never know what might be coming.
Well, I guess I go with the
afterwards.
option where you don't.
Well, no, you don't get to choose.
Well, I can campaign for
I
what
get
I
to
want,
choose.
right?
Yeah, it's a weird how that works. So everybody that finished 30th or below, I get to make that choice.
Gotcha.
And so
let's see if there's anybody else notable that finished.
I haven't
30th.
decided if I'm
Oh,
going
good.
to.
I finished. I was dead last on the front page, so I'm good.
Ah, you made
I'm
page
like-
one. That
yeah,
is
I made page
the
one, so
part
that's
that matters. That means there was a page 3 then.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's rough.
Let's see. You want to see it was on page 3?
I don't know if we want to.
Oh, Leah was on page 3.
Oh, well, she
was
went
really,
with Maryland.
Yeah, she did. She
was
was really good through the first week though.
Yeah.
First weekend.
Congratulations to Mark. Seriously, I mean, my God, he got every game right. It was insane.
I know. I'm trying to think. Now. I'm trying to see if he just went chalk or something.
Still, how did he know? How was he aware that Houston wouldn't get a shot off on their last 4 possessions? How did he know that part?
Yeah, he went chalk. I think that's kind
Is that he just picked the?
He did have Michigan. So he had Michigan and Ole Miss in the Sweet 16.
How about that?
He let's see. I mean, he didn't have.
Well,
Arkansas
Michigan was a
that far,
5
but yeah.
seed, right?
And
That's
BYU.
Not like that.
Yeah,
was
but BYU and Ole Miss were both 6 seeds, so
okay.
that's yeah.
All right. Good for Mark. Happy for him. I did hedge. I did in
Coward.
the end choose to hedge. I heard Jeremy Kahn's voice in my head right before the game started, and so I said, all right, fine, I'll do it. And then, honestly, there was a part of me that was like, maybe I'd rather take this gambling company's money than everybody else's money. So maybe it's better. Maybe it's better this way that it worked out. Happy for Mark. And yes, I was really bummed. I don't know if you guys saw on social, but my favorite Houston alum, former Houston basketball player, in fact, our buddy, a guy that played for Kelvin Sampson, in fact, our buddy Tyus Bowser was in town last night. And Reed and I got together with him to watch the game, and man, I was hurting for him. Apparently, he spoke to the team before the Final Four game.
Wow.
And then he was very nervous. He was there. He was in San Antonio. He was extraordinarily nervous that if they had lost that game, then he would
15, they were down by.
he would never be allowed to do it again. Right? He was like, dude, I was terrified. When they were losing, I just said, I'll never be invited back. This is the way it's gonna go. But they won that one, and man, I actually pulled out the phone and I was ready to film his reaction to perhaps them getting a game winner at the end, and then I felt terrible. I'm never gonna share the video. I'll never do that to him of the reaction to them losing. But just a brutal, brutal end. Like, I really did, admittedly, the one thing I kept saying, as long as it stays close, I like Houston because Houston had just been nails in every close game. And so I really did like them. Obviously, the foul trouble in the second half was just killer. And such unnecessary fouls, too. Like, we can complain about the whistles themselves, and, like, a couple of them, sure, but most of them...
I mean, yeah, they were mostly fouls. It was just,
they were
just
fouls.
Absurd, just the way they were 4 fouls in the first half.
Right. All that is weird. I agree. But there weren't a lot of blatantly bad calls.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
They were fouls. The frustrating part for people that were invested in Houston, and I was because, I wanted to win the bracket contest, the people that were invested in Houston was they were unnecessary fouls. Like, somebody beat you going to the basket, like Tugler, for example, was beat going to the basket and was just fouling for funsies and giving up and ones. And that was inviting Florida back into the game. And look, I always thought Florida was going to get back into the game because they're just too good. Ironically, the story last night was Richard way more than it was Clayton. Like, I don't think any of us saw that coming. But they just sort of, it was very un-Houston-like. They just sort of lost their composure. And then I have no idea what they were doing on those late possessions. Like, the last one, it seemed very simple to me. You send Cryer to drive, and then you hope that it frees up Sharp in the corner for a kick. If it's not, if they don't collapse, then you have Cryer try to go to the basket and tie it up. But if they collapse, which is what they had been doing every time Houston had been driving in the final few minutes, then you leave Sharp in the corner and you try to knock down a three that's fairly open. Everybody got tentative. Like, nobody really wanted to take outside jumpers late in the game. You could sense that the nerves were overwhelming for those two teams. Clayton, of course, hit the one, but that was like the only one. It was a really entertaining basketball game, despite it not being like particularly well played.
Like, because there wasn't 80 points scored, but
and there were a lot of like missed jumpers in the first half. Like, it was Richard and nobody else for Florida in half number one, and it just wasn't. It wasn't a beautiful basketball game, but it was a really entertaining basketball game. It was a really entertaining Final Four. Like, the final weekend of the tournament.
I felt like the whole tournament was, honestly. Like, I mean, there were obviously...
It missed the classic, like, monumental shape-shifting upsets in the first rounds that everybody wants in the tournament. But, yeah, it ended up giving you some really good basketball games as the tournament went on. And so... a bully for Florida, right? Like, I have no big takeaway on Florida. I don't think it teaches us anything about how to build a national champion. As was pointed out, they didn't have a single top 100 recruit on the roster. Ty Golden had never won an NCAA tournament game as a head coach and then won the national championship. I don't know what you learn from Florida's run to the national championship. Maybe sometimes it is good to be the best team going into the NCAA tournament, right? Like, as much as everybody talks about, like, hey, it's all that matters is being the best team in March, Florida started playing their best basketball around mid-February, and they were able to sustain it through the NCAA tournament. So congratulations to them, bully for them. I don't really care at all about Florida, so it doesn't do a whole lot for me. Like, okay, they won. Hooray. There's no local connection to it. There's nothing like that. It's just this is the team that won the championship.
So was Rita pumped up then, or she?
Rita does not care about Florida basketball.
So she's only Florida football.
She was. I would say like
she's a Tim Tebow guy. That's
yeah. If she was on a scale of 0 to 10, she's a 10 for Florida football. She's a 2 for Florida basketball.
Gotcha. And then
like
Florida softball.
Like, it's more than 0. You know what I mean? Like. Like, for her, she's like, okay, that happened. Her boyfriend, that's part of how they ended up together. They're both Florida fans. Her boyfriend's like a huge Florida basketball fan.
Gotcha.
So she was kind of semi-pulling for them for him, but she doesn't actually care whatsoever. Like, not even a little bit. Oh, man, I was gutted for Tyus. I gave him a hug after the game, and like he held on for a minute. He was hurting. He was really hurting, man. And I get it. I can't imagine. Like, he was not feeling good when they were up 12. Like, he knew, because Florida's a second-half team, right?
Yeah.
Like, he knew that it wasn't going to go like that, but when it was 2 points at the end, he was like, yeah, we both of us kind of kept saying that, like, you like this Houston team in close games because they've just been, they don't flinch in close games. And until last night when they just discombobulated offensively late in the game. I mean, just nothing. To not get it. It's one thing if it's one possession where you don't get a shot off. It's 4? What? Awful. Just awful. And that they didn't even attempt to get downhill on the final possession is insane to me. But, you know, such is life. That's the way that it goes. And Florida wins the national championship game. We'll talk about it with Patrick Stevens here a little bit later on this hour. We actually haven't talked to Patrick since the Buzz Williams hire was made official. So we'll get his thoughts on that. And then it'll be a little bit of college lacrosse as well. And we'll continue to do that until lacrosse season comes to a conclusion. Also this morning, speaking of college hoops, we will meet new Navy basketball coach Jon Perry, longtime assistant under Ed DeChellis. He gets promoted to the head coaching role, so we will chat with him about that. And we'll do our weekly NFL draft segment with our buddy Emory Hunt from CBS and Football Game Plan. Check in with him as we are now 2 weeks out from the NFL draft. Get some thoughts on how things are shaping up going into the draft itself. So that's all on the way on a Tuesday edition of the program. Good news and bad news is it's time to put somebody on the board.
Big win last night.
The good news is, for the first time, a team that averages 5 runs per game scored 5 runs. It's a really weird – I was trying to explain that, actually, as Tyus was asking, because Tyus is a huge Orioles fan. And he was asking about it. He's like, so what's up with them? And I was like, yeah, it's real weird. They're averaging 5 runs a game, but they haven't scored 5 runs once. He's like, huh? I'm like, it's either 8 or 2. Like, that's just the way that it works. Well, how does that work? Yeah, I don't know either, bro. Just the way it's been going on around here. So it was nice that they actually, like, had a reasonable offensive performance and tied it together with a strong pitching effort. But we all felt the same thing as Zach Eflin was pulled after 6 innings at 73 pitches. We said, what in the bloody hell?
They're trying to get the pen some looks. That's
yeah. And there had been word that, like, we're trying to figure out a way to get Cano and Batista into a game.
They did that.
Maybe, win more would be a good way to do that. But we all felt the exact same thing, which is, right, so maybe you have Eflin go 7 and then Cano and Batista. Nobody needed to see Gregory Soto last night.
He looked good, though.
He looked fine. Gave up the hit, and then he looked fine. I normally, whenever I see the internet melting down about something, I'm like, all right, settle down, keep it in your pants. But admittedly, I was actually in the same boat last night. Are you effing kidding me? You're pulling, or Efling kidding me? You're pulling this guy after 6 innings and 73 pitches. And then I don't remember who the first person was. Somebody tweeted, like, is he hurt? Is that the reason? Because otherwise it doesn't make. And then I had that, like, just sinking feeling. Oh, son of a bitch, that might be it. We'll start with the good. The good is Zach Eflin is man of the match from last night. Apologies. Ryan O'Hearn obviously had a very good game. The offense was functional. But Zach Eflin was splendid, allowing just 4 hits, 1 run over those 6 innings. No walks. Love everything about that. Zach Eflin, for the first time this season, man of the match. So that's good. Good. Zach Eflin continues to be the starter that you can rely on for the Baltimore Orioles. But as I say continues, I don't know if that continues or not, because
they're saying they're confident that it's not, a big
you're no.
They called it fatigue.
Yes,
like, what does that mean?
You're adding extra words to what was actually
They said fatigue. Like, what does that mean?
To try to make it seem like it was something else. Brandon Hyde said left shoulder fatigue for Zach Eflin, and that's the reason why it was pulled. And so they describe it as being precautionary. They describe it as, Zach Eflin says hopefully it's not going to be an issue, but The Orioles will learn tomorrow. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that he's going to get an MRI today? Does that mean that they just wanted to, hey, go sleep on it and see how you feel in the morning? We don't know. Hopefully, to Griffin's point, it is nothing but precautionary. Hopefully, it's nothing more than, some soreness, and that happens. We always salute General Soreness. Thank you for your service. But, hopefully he's fine. If he's not, holy F. Holy F.
Well, it's time. Then they go out and get another pitcher.
Yeah. They'll just go get another. Who's the guy they got yesterday?
Grant something? No.
I don't know. I don't remember what his name was.
I don't remember his name was either.
I have no idea.
But I know, man.
I couldn't.
Gonna miss Daz Cameron.
Daz Cameron was traded for some Brewers reliever that I don't know anything about, and I apologize that I didn't. It wasn't important enough for me to bother to learn this person's name. I hope everything's fine, and I don't want to. Yes.
Grant Wolfram.
Great. Grant what?
Wolfram.
Wolf. Like,
Wolf Ram.
But Wolf or Woof?
It's spelled Wolfram.
So WOOF?
No, Wolf.
Sorry,
Wolf.
Yeah,
it's Wolfram.
But you weren't saying Wolf. You were saying
I'm
Wolf.
saying it how I say it, yeah.
I understand that. That's not helpful in this situation.
Grant Wolfram.
Wolfram.
It's Beowulf, not Beowulf.
Jesus Christ. Grant Wolfram, who is legally speaking a pitcher, so they've got that going for them. Look, you pray for the best when it comes to Zach Eflin, and unfortunately we prepare for the worst. But preparing for the worst is just hoping that Kyle Gibson is ready quickly to go into the rotation if Zach Eflin's going to be gone for a couple of starts, and recognizing that the offense is going to have to perform. Like, they are not going to have the luxury of slipping up and having lethargic outputs the way that they have. It feels like this franchise is snake-bitten at the moment. Again, we don't know yet. Hopefully this is nothing, and we don't have to be too worried about it. I would say that this is what happens when you don't prioritize trying to get as much pitching as you can. You leave yourself... everybody knew that Kyle Bradish... The Kyle Bradish thing isn't a surprise. Like, they can't say, well, we had no idea that we're going to lose 3 starting pitchers. Well, you already had lost Kyle Bradish. That's not part of... You've lost 1, which everyone goes through, and perhaps a 2nd. We'll find out. The Yankees are dealing with the same thing. It's extraordinarily common to lose 1 or 2 starting pitchers. It's why you go get surplus pitching. And it's far from the Orioles that are, they're not the only team that doesn't have enough pitching. I certainly recognize that. And pitching injuries, what did the president of our country say yesterday about the Dodgers losing pitchers? It was just the dumbest quote you've ever heard.
I did not see.
All
I saw was that Ohtani shook his hand.
It was so funny, man. God, this guy.
I didn't bother to see if he said anything about baseball.
When you ran out of the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, really particular.
That's pretty good analysis.
Dynamite,
right.
man.
He's right.
Dynamite. Nailed it. That's what's happening to the Orioles. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, really particular. That's what's happening. That's where they find themselves.
Is he wrong? I mean,
no, nailed it. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Salute him as well.
Truly.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. We live in funny times, don't we? We live We live in funny times. This is why I never bothered to have a 401k. Y'all are sweating. Some of us are over here living the good life. We haven't lost anything in the last week. We good. Gucci over here. If you got to have something to lose in order to be able to lose it, baby, that's the way that it works. I haven't lost a thing. Just mowing right along. Yes. This is what happens when you don't prioritize having surplus pitching. And if you want to say whatever you want to say about the price of pitching, say it. That this is what happens when you don't draft and develop pitching. This is the way that it goes. You end up in these situations because you don't prioritize pitching. And the thing where the Orioles don't want to spend the money that's necessary in order to go get starting pitching. And yeah, it's outrageous. I understand. But that's a luxury that you can only have if you're incredibly good at drafting and developing pitching. And you know what the Orioles aren't incredibly good at? Drafting and developing. They don't even really try. They don't even give it an effort. It's the damnedest thing. They know they don't have internal pitching, but then the cost of getting pitching is too much. It's got to be one or the other. You can't have it both ways. You can't both not do one thing and not do the other. And when you do, you end up with this. And I give them all the credit in the world because Zach Eflin was a phenomenal find on the trade market. It didn't ultimately – the bummer is he's also going to be a free agent after this year. And right now he's shaping up to be a guy that's going to, if he stays healthy, and that, is to be determined, we get a boatload of money in free agency. It might be the next guy that the Orioles say they can't afford. Can't ever have nice things. Can't ever just like all you want to do last night was talk about how nice it was to have a strong Zach Eflin start and a solid performance and
Gunnar hitting the ball.
Yeah, Gunnar looking like Gunnar Henderson a little bit, getting pissed off when he got walked, flipping the bat, the whole thing. You felt some vibes again. Mother effer.
And what if he might be okay, though?
I hope. I pray that that's the case.
And it's his left shoulder. He doesn't even need that one.
I'm pretty sure you still need that shoulder, pal. I'm pretty sure
Not really.
You still need it.
It's like a pitching machine. Just set him there.
Right. Yeah, don't even. Yeah, I don't think it works that way. We will see. We will see when there's an update today. Of course, with them being out on the West Coast, it might be a little bit later before we get that update, but hopefully there will be pleasant news for a change. Hopefully it won't continue to be soul-crushing. God, just the worst. And, hey, they send Charlie Morton out tonight, so what could go wrong?
Good news is that the D-backs are throwing a guy with a 10 ERA as well.
They've got that, right. Like, they've got that working for them, so hopefully.
Maybe it'll be like 10-10 or something after 5 innings.
It'll be a fun game tonight, right? Like, it could be a game that goes till 1 in the morning because they just keep scoring a bajillion runs. I don't want that because I don't want to be up that late. But yeah, that could be the case with the baseball game tonight. Still, they won a game. Right now, you'll take that. You'll take anything that looks like this team being on a solid trajectory and trying to get into a groove early on in the season and shake off both the early season rust and everything that dates back to last year. So we'll take that and hope for the best with Zach Eflin. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that we needed to cover from yesterday, like news-wise. This is the weird part of, like, everything is draft subterfuge season. Like, so-and-so's having dinner. It's the thing that I keep, my guy KZ and I have always fought about this. I do not give a flying F who the Ravens have hosted for a visit.
You don't want a first-round linebacker?
I don't know. Who was the linebacker that they hosted?
Some UCLA guy. It was.
Oh, I did see that.
It was like a
yeah,
longer name.
yeah, I did see that. It's somebody who has a familiar name to another football player, and I was like, are they related? But I don't.
Carson Schwessinger?
Schwessinger? Is that who it is?
Schwessinger. Yeah.
Maybe I was thinking of somebody else.
I know him.
They did host Josh Simmons for a visit, the offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Our friend Eric Edholm had the Ravens taking Josh Simmons with the 27th pick in his most recent mock draft, which admittedly I was a bit confused by. I would have thought once the Ravens locked up Ronnie Stanley that tackle wouldn't be the place to look. He suggested, hey, you also, right now, the Ravens, and two things that he's right about. One, the Ravens badly need offensive line depth. It's the thing that we kind of miss, but they were gutted depth-wise, losing McCary. They don't have a ton. Josh Jones gone. Like
we don't know what Voorhees is.
Like Voorhees right now is their starter.
And we don't know what he is.
Yeah, he's their starter at left guard. Ben Cleveland's back. Nick Samak is back. That's about the list of the depth that you have. And to the point, you don't really have anybody else that can play tackle. I mean, unless you would maybe you would say Fa'alele would be their backup tackle, right? And then you just play
you throw Cleveland
in at guard if they had to. So he does have a point about that. And the secondary part is that Josh Simmons could potentially maybe be a guard. Like, you could do the thing that you did with Jonathan Ogden once upon a time and say, hey, we don't have a tackle spot available, but, play left guard. And then if Ronnie Stanley goes through injury troubles again, then you've got an option there. I get his point is that
if they took Josh, I mean, that'd be the largest offensive line I feel like it has to be ever.
That's a great point. With Fa'alele at right guard and him at left guard, it'd be insane. And sort of un-Ravens like they tend to want a little bit more athleticism, flexibility.
Yeah.
But the point that he's making is that Josh Simmons, because of the injury, is going to be available at a later place in the first round than what he should be. That if he had been completely healthy, he would be a top half of the first-round pick. And the Ravens are the team that would capitalize on the value and say, dude, if Josh Simmons is sitting there at 27 and we think he might be like the 14th best player available in this draft, we just take him. So I understand his point. I do. I don't know that they have the luxury of doing that because they have too many needs on the defensive side of the ball to me. But that would be a very Ravens-like thing to do, to just say, this is the guy. We think we've got a football player for the next 12 years. We're just taking him, even if that's not necessarily our biggest area of need at the tackle position. But it does not – the fact that I see a report that Josh Simmons visited the Ravens does not do anything for me in terms of you get 30 of these things. Some years they draft somebody that took a visit. Some years they don't. There is no connection between pre-draft visits and being drafted. That's just something that.
Except for the Steelers, I think they always take one of the guys that visits.
If you say so.
In the first round.
If you say so, I have not done research on that topic. I could not tell you. I'll believe you, but I just don't know if that's true. So yeah, don't care at all about that. We come back in. We will put the finishing touches on college basketball season, get some thoughts on Buzz Williams as our friend Patrick Stevens, Washington Post, will join us next. It is Glenn Clark Radio.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you, cooking and serving. But that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas Combo, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious spilling sandwiches, including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at Timonium Racecourse. We'll get you the opening date real soon.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Glenn Clark and I sit down for a Q&A with Orioles owner David Rubenstein, discussing what he learned from his first year as owner, his goals both on and off the field, and his involvement in baseball decisions. Also inside, Brooks DeBose profiles new Oriole Tyler O'Neill, and we meet college lacrosse players from around the state. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
CountySports. Oh, hello. What the heck happened there? Good morning. CountySports.zone is where you need to turn to find out everything there is to know about high school sports. Here in the state of Maryland, every score, every schedule, ranking, poll, update for every team, every sport, all over the state, every level, private schools, public schools, big schools, small schools, the whole thing, all across the state. CountySports.zone has you covered here in spring sports season, boys and girls lacrosse, baseball, softball, so much more. It's all proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Check out CountySports.zone. It is a Tuesday, and every Tuesday here on GCR, we catch up with our friend Patrick Stevens at Discourse, D1S Course, Washington Post, Blue Ribbon, USA Lacrosse Magazine, among others. And he is back with us this morning here on GCR. Patrick, good morning. How are you, my friend?
I'm well, Glenn. How are you?
I am all right. Patrick, the important question that I have to ask the morning after a national championship game, how do you think this impacts Tom Izzo's legacy? That is a very inside
that's
joke.
A good one. That's a good one, Glenn. That's a good one, Glenn.
Very inside joke between Patrick and I. That was for an audience of two.
So you can tell us then what it is.
It was for an audience of two, but I promise those of you listening, it is a joke that's now 16 years old, but it doesn't get old hearing it. So.
Oh man! All right. Florida wins the national championship. They were the best team down the stretch. There's a part of me that's stunned by how it all went for Houston late in the game, but Florida was the best team. I can't be all that surprised by the fact that they figured out a way to win the title in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was kind of interesting on that last possession that Florida was kind of defending like Houston, right? Like just up in people's grills and all that. Like, I mean, it seemed like a little bit of role reversal there, but I think, I mentioned last week it wouldn't have been shocking to see any of those four teams figure out a way to end up as the top team this year. And so, Florida, obviously, really since mid-January, certainly the beginning of February, was just ridiculous. Only lost once after February 1st. Yeah. So a team that certainly was, on the surface and throughout the season, good enough to be the national champion. You could have said the same about any of those teams. Man, you just kind of, how bad do you just sort of feel in general for Emmanuel Sharp to have that be the way that game ends for him? Not if he takes the shot and misses it, so what? But to basically just sort of be helpless standing there watching the ball bounce because he'd get called for a violation. Oof, that's a rough way to end the season for anybody.
I felt like I really did feel an amount of I can't believe they didn't try to get downhill. Like, I can't believe that they didn't attack the basket on that down two in that spot, even to try to draw for a kick, because Florida was collapsing. It stunned me that they were just sort of standing around. I felt bad that was the spot that he was in.
Yeah, I mean, no. On the one hand, it did feel kind of like, okay, like when are you guys going to get into this?
Right.
On the other hand, I mean that was a team that shot almost 40% from three this season. So I could understand being in that situation and saying, you know what, let's go for the win here. But that said, when I think about the way they play, even with those guys that shoot three really well, I mean, Cryer's 40+% from three, Sharp's 40+% from three. You still think of them as just being able to outmuscle people and just basically do whatever they want to get to the basket. So I can certainly appreciate where you're coming from on that, and just a play, and you could see even when the action got over to the right side, like you could see that possession just kind of unraveling on them a bit,
going nowhere.
And so it felt sort of doomed in that spot already, and so it's another one of those things of when do you call the timeout? Do you call the timeout at at the other end when you get the ball, or do you cross midcourt and try to draw something up there? There's not necessarily a guaranteed right answer to that question, especially given how much time was left when they got the ball for that last possession.
Obviously, Todd Golden, young coach, now a national champion. I feel like there'd be an inclination to say, boy, I bet Florida could win a bunch of these under Todd Golden. In a different era of college basketball, I would probably say that everything is so different from one year to the next at this point that I have no idea what Florida basketball might be next year or the year after that or the year after that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that you can look at, and you can look at it really across the SEC, is so many of those athletic departments are, all right, we're going to have 18 sports and they're all going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of the philosophy, as opposed to let's go have 25 sports or 30 sports and try to have something a little more broad-based. So I think that for those schools, even if they aren't funneling as much money in to the NIL stuff as maybe the Big East schools will the next few years, I don't think there's much reason to think that they're going to take that much of a step back. And the question also becomes, if the college situation becomes too much of a headache, like that's a guy that could very easily be in the Brad Stevens situation, where it's like, all right, I could just go coach in the pros if I have to, and then you got options. Maybe he goes back if he takes an NBA job, and maybe he doesn't. And you could look at another guy in that Final Four, Jon Scheyer, in much the same way. Like at some point, you kind of look at it like which of these is a more appealing situation. That obviously depends on each individual coach, but could be a situation where we see Florida regularly making Final Fours. But of course, the tournament's wonky too. So who knows what the future holds in anything college basketball related.
Patrick, last time you and I talked, the idea of Buzz Williams at Maryland was only a thought. I'm guessing, based on what you told us then, that your reaction was somewhat mild to the Buzz Williams hire at Maryland. Yeah,
I mean, look, Maryland had a chance to maybe roll the dice, but also maybe get somebody that you knew really wanted to be there, that you thought might be able to be there for 10 years, 12 years, whatever. I mean, think about this. Like the 7 coaches that they've had in the last 70 years, 4 of them stayed 10+ seasons. You had 17 for Bud Milliken, 17 Lefty Driesell, 22 Gary Williams. And you had Frank Fellows, who was a Maryland grad who was 2 years between Milliken and Lefty. You had Bob Wade, who's a Baltimore guy and went to Morgan State and coached at Dunbar for 3 years between Lefty and Gary. You had Mark Turgeon for 10+ seasons. And then you had Kevin Willard, who, I was thinking about this morning, like, he was at Seton Hall for a dozen years. So it's not as if anybody thought that he was just going to be a short timer when he arrived. In this case, like, it's 5 or 6 years max,
yep.
And you'll be looking for a new coach. You kind of know what you're getting. You're probably going to be in the mix for NCAA tournament berths most years. It's also somebody that's made one Sweet 16 in the last dozen years. And also name-checking that, variability of the NCAA tournament, all that stuff. It's just kind of like, okay, whatever. Like it felt like the sort of hire that you make when – you don't have an athletic director, you have an interim AD that basically wants to complete the task. Can't blame that person in that spot. and a campus president who's not accustomed to hiring basketball coaches that's kind of running everything. So I don't know. And I thought that the introductory press conference, I'll stick to my original thought on it. It was the introductory press conference equivalent of a form letter.
Yeah.
And, to have, you felt like you could have been talking about any school at any place at any time. And so just kind of a weird thing there. I would expect Maryland to be in the tournament 3 or 4 of the next 5 years. But, I think it could have been something where there was a little more imagination in play.
I will, for the sake of it, because you know how I feel, but just for the sake of conversation, I'll present the argument that people make that, well, but Buzz Williams hasn't had a job like Maryland, although I'm not really sure how much better Maryland is than Marquette as far as jobs go. And maybe he would change his mind because it is Maryland, and maybe there is more success to be had because it's Maryland. You know how I feel, but I'll allow you to share your thoughts on that.
I mean, his track record is that he wants to avoid getting fired. He does not want anybody to even think about firing him. That's sort of what it is. Like 6 years at Marquette, 5 at Virginia Tech, 6 at Texas A&M. Some guys don't want to be someplace for long. And I don't think we heard anything from him last Tuesday of, this is where I want to end my career or anything. So let's not sit here and
to be fair, even when someone sort of asked the question about it, like he completely pivoted. Like for some ways, I give him respect. I give respect for that. Like he's not even trying to lie about it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should be fooled when there's another Maryland coaching search in 5 years. I mean, there are a lot of people that there are some people that felt spurned that Kevin Willard would leave Maryland. I think there were a lot more people that felt spurned that he would do the act that he did in the middle of the NCAA tournament. But I think both of those things are factors in some way or another. I don't think anybody should be surprised when this thing plays itself out in 5 years or so, and the guy's averaged 20, 22 wins a year and made the tournament 3 or 4 years out of 5, and just decides it's time to go get another job. And, he's, I think, 53 at this point, 52, 53. So he certainly has at least one more of these moves in him before all is said and done.
I guess we should mention that he's put a couple pieces together, Miles Rice and Pharrell Payne. Long way to go for building a roster for the 2025-2026 season. I thought the biggest story as far as roster movement was concerned, Tyler Tejada coming back to Towson next year, which I'm floored by. It's obviously it's wildly good news for Towson. I was stunned by that, Patrick.
Yeah, I think when you saw a couple other pieces move on, Christian May heading to UNC Wilmington, you wondered, is this going to be a spot where Towson has to scramble and reload? And instead, they basically keep their centerpiece. They keep the best player in the league. And I feel like if you're Pat Scarry, even before you get into anything else, that's something that you have every reason to feel great about at this point. You look at the early work that they've done in the portal, picked up a couple double-digit scores, Jack Doumbia from Wright State and Tyler Schmidt from Valparaiso. So, I think that Towson once again will find itself among the favorites in the CAA, but let's face it, having Tyler Tejada back is the thing that cements that as much as that.
No question about it. We're going to chat. We're going to have our first conversation with Jon Perry, the new basketball coach at Navy, in the second hour of the show. Just a quick thought on Navy going with continuity.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the smart play at this point. I think when you factor in Chet Gladchuck's retirement, certainly when you kind of read between the lines in the release announcing Perry's hire, it does not sound like it's a long-term contract or anything. But at the same time, he's somebody that has been involved in a pretty successful run here, where you consistently see Navy winning 10, 11 games and finishing, top half of the Patriot League. And, that's not an easy job. It's certainly not an easy job in this day and age. So, I think from the immediate short-term impact, does that make it more likely that Austin Benini returns for his senior year? I mean, one would think that would be a little more likely with the continuity hire. he's going to keep the staff basically in place. He has to go out and hire a couple assistant coaches, one to replace himself and one to replace the Ed DeChellis spot on the staff. So it'll be three coaches back like that. And I think if you're Navy and you've got an experienced team that came so close to being able to break through and get to a tournament for the first time in 25 plus years, it makes sense. And it's certainly a roster that's built to kind of follow the Ed DeChellis checklist of rebound, defend, and take care of the ball, which is something that Jon Perry mentioned during his press conference last week. Is that you just sort of in that order and everything. It's like I really did feel like it was really actually Ed sitting in that big chair in the basketball office and not him. So certainly I think a sound move for Navy and certainly gives them the best chance of success for next year. And if they're successful next year, I suspect you see Jon Perry earn his way into a longer stay in that job, which certainly from everything I understand about the man would be a good thing for Nate.
Let's a couple minutes on the lacrosse front, as obviously we'll be doing a lot more of that in the coming weeks. How much trouble is Johns Hopkins in at this point?
A world of trouble at this stage. I think the best thing they have is opportunity in front of them. They have Penn State and Maryland on the road to close out the regular season. They're obviously going to be playing in the first round of the Big Ten tournament as opposed to getting a bye. But it's 6-5, and their best victory is over a 5-6 Virginia team. There is a lot of work to do for Hopkins. So they're kind of in that spot that Michigan's been in the last few years, where they hovered around 500 and got hot late, but they just did not quite have enough oomph to be able to get past Ohio State on Saturday. Now 0-3 in the Big Ten, and so they're in a spot where basically if they don't win the next two, they're almost certainly going to have to win the Big Ten tournament. But even if they do win the next two, they probably have to do something in the Big Ten tournament to be able to actually start building some sort of a postseason profile.
Yeah, that seems nice and easy, right? Real nice and easy path. I say this all to say, do we know definitively, is there a group of title contenders at this point? Do we know how many teams are capable of winning the national championship right now in this moment?
I think it's almost easier to sit there and say how many teams are capable of earning an at-large bid.
Yeah.
Because that feels pretty concrete right now, that number is somewhere basically around, I was looking at it the other day, it's somewhere around 13 or 14. And that includes Rutgers and Hopkins that still have some work to do. So who's going to win this national title? I mean, I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite to this thing. Right. I mean, I would probably rather be Cornell and have C.J. Kirst on my team.
It seems like it. But do you even feel super confidence in them against Syracuse?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be like there's probably some sort of rock, paper, scissors thing that would ultimately work with whoever emerges as the top three teams or so. Whether it's Cornell or Princeton or Maryland, which obviously had itself a tough day Saturday up at Rutgers and managed only 6 goals in that one. So they've had a couple moments now. You think back to that Loyola game early in the season. You have this one where the offense just kind of disappears for a good chunk or an entire game. And that has to be a real concern for the Terps, who, I think most people would agree it overachieved a bit over the first half or so of the season. And they're certainly in no danger of missing the tournament with the victories they have over Princeton, over Notre Dame, over Syracuse. I don't see it as a clear cut that this team is definitely going to be making it to Foxborough. I'm not sure there's anybody that I'd feel that confident in being able to do that right now.
I tend to agree with that. Let's play the game. Can Patrick Stevens name the MLB teams that this particular player has played for? One that I just can't believe we hadn't done yet, but admittedly, he was never an all-star, although he was a World Series MVP. He is everyone's favorite uncle here in this city. 6 teams for the great Rick Dempsey.
The great Rick Dempsey was, in addition to being an Oriole,
yes,
he was a Brewer.
He was a Brewer, and I had blanked on that entirely.
And he was a Dodger.
He was, of course, a Dodger, yes.
I believe he was a Twin very early on.
He was.
And I believe he was a Yankee.
Most certainly was. Came to the Orioles from the Yankees, yes.
And so I'm missing somebody at the tail end, right?
Between when he left Baltimore and when he ended up in L.A. So he spent the 87 season. This was I only went 4 for 6 on Rick Dempsey, who I consider a friend. So I missed Milwaukee, and I also missed this one, the 87 season.
The 87 season for Rick Dempsey. Gosh. I really did think I'd gotten it all. Was he in Cleveland?
He was indeed. He was in Cleveland for the 87 season. Well done. Active player, just somebody that I happened to watch pitch recently, and so I thought of him and said, we haven't done that yet. He has been an all-star once. He's finished in the top 10 of Cy Young voting 3 times, which I was surprised by. Chris Bassett, 4 teams.
Okay, so Bassett, Oakland?
Yes.
He's in Toronto now.
Correct. Yep, that's why I thought of him.
Okay. The Mets, right?
The Mets in 2022. And I did not know that he had started his career in this place in 2014. Made 6 starts.
Okay, well, I don't feel so bad about this. That this will be a. So this was somebody he went from this place to the Mets.
To Oakland. The Mets was between Oakland and Toronto, yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Was he a Pirate?
No, he was a Chicago White Sox.
Okay.
Chicago White Sox, and I had no recollection of that whatsoever. I'll go with one more active guy for a 5-team guy. 2-time World Series winner and 2-time All-Star, Jock Peterson, the last name on the list for this week.
All right. Well, Jock Peterson was obviously a Dodger.
Most certainly was.
San Francisco, right?
I said 5. It's 6 teams. I apologize. 6 teams for Jock Peterson. Yeah, San Francisco.
Okay. Was he in Atlanta?
Yes, he was in Atlanta in 2021.
Okay.
Split that season with another team.
He was the Cub, right?
Yes, most certainly was.
Okay, so we're down to 2, huh?
Yeah, and admittedly, one of them is where he is right now. He's in a new team this season.
Okay. Was he in Arizona last year?
Yes, most certainly in Arizona last year.
And the Jock Peterson spin the wheel, where is he at this year? Because I haven't been paying that close attention to the hot stove because I had college basketball. Let's throw out the Tigers.
Texas. Texas is the spot for Jock Peterson. Are you at Towson tonight?
No, I'm not at Towson tonight, unfortunately.
What is on the docket?
Still to be determined. It'll be either Army Navy or Georgetown Denver on Saturday.
Very good. At Discourse, D1S Course on Twitter, but more importantly on Blue Sky, and of course USA Lacrosse Magazine, where you find everything he's got as far as lacrosse is concerned between now and championship weekend. Patrick Stevens, always appreciate you, my friend. We will talk again next Tuesday.
Awesome, Glenn. You take care. Thanks so much.
Thanks, buddy. Patrick Stevens with us here on GCR. Appreciate him doing that. I was it's funny because what he puts out, it's very real where Johns Hopkins is at this point. And I have a friend who is a big-time Hopkins supporter who messaged me yesterday and said, remember a year ago when everybody thought that Hopkins had turned the corner and now everybody's mad at Milliman? I'm like, this to me is more about the nature of lacrosse than it is anything else. Like this, I think there are a lot of people in this area, like blue bloods, that just believe it's the same as it ever was, right? Like that certain programs should have the unalienable right to be playing on championship weekend every year. And I get it. I do understand that. Like Hopkins shouldn't have this long of a drought between Final Four appearances. But it just doesn't, it's not that simple. Like these other programs are trying. Michigan is trying. Rutgers is trying. Ohio State is trying. So I'm not trying to say that like Hopkins shouldn't believe that they're still capable of being, a contender or anything like that, but I just don't think it's as easy as a lot of people around here that just believe that, like, Maryland and Hopkins should always be in it every year, and not, to the point Maryland still is. I don't think it's that simplistic. I think part of it is the sport and how many other programs are stepping up, particularly these Big Ten programs that, like, when Maryland and Hopkins joined this league, we kind of thought, like, they would just dominate the Big Ten. At the time, it was 5 teams because Michigan came along a little bit afterwards. But there was, I think, this common belief that it would just be like the Maryland-Hopkins Invitational in the Big Ten for forever. And that's just not the case. And we've seen Ohio State play on, Memorial Day weekend. Like, these programs intend to compete and matter. And they've invested, and it is just not going to be like this. Whether it's Peter Milliman, whoever it is. And I'm not trying to suggest that Peter Milliman would be on the hot seat if Hopkins doesn't make the tournament. I don't think that's the case whatsoever. When we come back in, we are going to get into this week's NFL draft conversation. Our buddy Emory Hunt, Football Game Plan, and CBS Sports will join us. We are just 2 weeks and 2 days out from the NFL draft. We'll talk to Emory when we come back in. It is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses make golf fun and affordable. All 5 local courses, Pine Ridge, Mount Pleasant, Forest Park, Carroll Park, and Clifton Park, are challenging and fun for players of all skill levels. Book your tee time today at classic5golf.com.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high-fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Glenn Clark and I sit down for a Q&A with Orioles owner David Rubenstein, discussing what he learned from his first year as owner, his goals both on and off the field, and his involvement in baseball decisions. Also inside, Brooks DeBose profiles new Oriole Tyler O'Neill, and we meet college lacrosse players from around the state. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farms stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
I mentioned earlier that one of the points that our friend Eric Edholm from NFL.com, who we had on the radio show over the weekend, brought up about the idea of Josh Simmons was, hey, the Ravens don't really have depth at offensive tackle. Thank you to Dan for pointing out to me that apparently the Ravens are interested in George Fant, a veteran offensive tackle. He spoke to The Athletic about Colin Granger, who's a former college basketball player that the Panthers signed this week to be an offensive lineman. Apparently, George Fant was involved with that somehow. And within that conversation, he said, there's a couple other teams that I've been talking to. Those two are really intriguing to me, Baltimore being a contender and Nashville being where I live at. So I'm definitely interested. Look, the Ravens moving into the guys that aren't going to cost us compensatory pick formula portion of free agency is for offensive line depth makes sense. I don't know if it'll end up being George Fant or not, but it is. It's something that I hadn't thought about. Like, they don't really have a ton of offensive line depth at the moment. We know they're going to draft at least one offensive lineman because they're going to do that every year. But veteran depth, I've said before, I think you could use veteran flexibility, like someone who can play multiple positions, and maybe they think Ben Cleveland is that guy. They haven't ever trusted him to play any position, so it's very difficult for us to hear that, but maybe they believe that can be Ben Cleveland. And he is, technically a veteran. It just feels like you could always use a veteran who you are confident can play multiple positions. I'm not really sure if George Fant is that person, but apparently someone they are interested in to find some O-line at depth. If you missed it last night, Stan, Ross, and Luke caught up to talk some Orioles before the series began out in Arizona. You can find that show right now. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. As always, Stan's shows brought to you by the Costas Inn. It's time for our weekly NFL draft segment. Been a few weeks since we caught up with our next guest, one of our favorites, CBSSports.com, Football Game Plan. He is Mr. Emory Hunt, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Emory, it's Glenn. It's always good to catch up, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Not a problem. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Of course, brother. I saw you getting fired up about Shedeur Sanders, right? And it's an interesting thing because I cannot pretend to be scouting these players. Clearly not like you, because you're a different animal. Like, you're just a different beast when it comes to this. My point is just these teams that don't have quarterback, like, to me, the best thing in the world for the Baltimore Ravens is that the Pittsburgh Steelers continue to seem like they're just going to keep punting at quarterback. And the Cleveland Browns, who don't have a quarterback, potentially choosing to draft Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, to me, is great news. Not because I don't think those guys are really good I think they're incredible football players. But they've had Myles Garrett. They've had that generational talent. And what do they have to show for it? To me, the idea that there is someone who might be an answer at quarterback that you would pass over is just the height of bat-essery, but at the same time, very good news for anybody else in the AFC North.
Well, what really bothers me, and I share a lot of what you're saying, the sentiment, because in 2017, when the Browns had the first and fourth pick, I was on everybody's radio station all up in Cleveland saying, they asked me what I would do with the 2 picks. I was like, well, I would take Saquon Barkley, number 1, because I know I can get the best quarterback in the class at number 4, and that's Lamar Jackson. And they were all like, oh, why would you? That's just crazy. Is he even a first-round quarterback? I'm like, this is a layup evaluation. Like, there are 2 of the best players, and you can legitimately lead your team, lead the league in rushing for the next decade. And so people thought I was crazy. Now look at it.
Well, what have those guys done? I mean, what are you talking about?
What am I talking about? So this one, it's like when you look at Cleveland's quarterback depth chart, it is baby on a plane screaming for quarterback. So why would you pass on one of the best ones in the class? Regardless of whether you think Cam or Shedeur should be 1 or 2, both are elite quarterbacks. Both would have went top 5 in last year's draft class, regardless of what everybody's saying. And they can help your team win right away. Shedeur is battle tested, which is why I feel like Cleveland would be dumb to pass on Shedeur, and the Giants would be even dumber to pass on Shedeur.
I am in favor of it. I just want to keep saying that for the record. Here, by all means, don't find your quarterback and let Kenny Pickett play. Please, let's go right ahead and make that decision here. Emory, I'm in a weird place. The thing that I've become obsessed with now, as far as the Ravens are concerned, is the 2 safeties. Because not that I think that safety is necessarily the biggest area of need for the Ravens, but it feels like the biggest opportunity to find a truly impact, game-changing type of football player at 27. Where are you with both Malachi Starks and Nick Emanwari between their value, should they be there at 27, and the possibility of them being there at 27?
There's a possibility that both are there at 27. I'm more of a fan of Malachi Starks because I feel like he could drop down and kind of cover in the slot, give you a little bit of that versatility. And Eman Worry, I think he's more one-dimensional in terms of his approach. He doesn't make enough plays around the ball, in my opinion.
Okay.
Andrew McCoy is someone that I really like out of Texas because he's those guys drop down in the slot, cover, but also keep you honest in your run defense. And he has that great discipline on the back end. So for me, those guys could be in play for Baltimore. Even a couple of undersized guys. Again, it's funny going back a few years. My number one free safety 3 or 4 years ago was Darius Washington. He went undrafted, and then now look at him.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So he's starting for the Ravens. But Marcus Siegel of Kansas State, big Billy Bowman guy out of Oklahoma. Those two dudes are someone that could play that, again, slot defender type role, keep you versatile, but also very good around football.
Where are you with the next group of edge rushers, right? Like once upon a time, I think you and I talked about Mike Green, and I was salivating over Mike Green. I am more and more confident that that's not an option. But that next group, the Donovan Ezeraku types, like where are you with who is someone that's really worthy of being selected at 27 versus – hey, there's enough depth at edge rush that if this is the guy that's next up, you might be better off waiting into the second, maybe even the third round to find an edge rusher in this class.
Ezeraku is nice. I like him. It's just the fact that he might be a little bit one-dimensional, not in the bad sense, but in the sense that he has one type of rush. Now, that could be a great thing if you're Dwight Freeney. You know what I'm saying? He only had the one move but he also ran 4.3. So, he was able to explode and really beat you at his undersized size with that explosiveness off the ball. So he was very unique. So Ezeraku is a really good player because I watched Boston College play. He was popping, taking plays. I would keep an eye out for David Walker as well out of Central Arkansas. If you're watching during the season as I'm covering FCS football, if you would have told me he was 6'4", 250, I was like, yeah, that checks out because he's dominating. He looks the part. Then we get down to the Senior Bowl. He came in at 6'1", 260. I'm like, wow. So he was really dominating as an undersized edge and kick and tail. And he was doing that as well down at the Senior Bowl. So that's someone that is also kind of flying underneath the radar as well. Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina, another one of these guys that was super productive, very good program. Anyone on that South Carolina defense this year is playing some really solid football. So there is room for Baltimore to finally nail the position they used to nail consistently back in the day.
How many of those guys would be worthy of going at 27, though, Emory? Like, are those players that you're taking that early?
You have to look at it like this, man, because this is how I think. Don't look at it in terms of value at 27. Look at it in terms of where's our biggest need,
right?
Who is that position, and does our grade on that player usurp a grade on somebody else that may not be as significant, maybe our number 3 need or number 2 need, then we go there. But if this dude can help us win it's week 6 and this dude is kicking tail out there on the field, nobody cares where you drafted him.
Where are you with those guys that you mentioned? What about James Pierce?
Listen, I know people are all over the place about James. Those are the type of dudes I want on my football team, because at the end of the day, he does a great job in affecting the play. He is gifted athletically. And what I mean by that, we know about his rushing ability. But when we first got introduced to James Pierce, he was dropping back in zone coverage. He was turning the ball over, intercepting passes in the short zone, and running it back the other way for a touchdown. Those guys, you kind of want. Kind of like Kyle Van Noy, who can drop back in that short coverage, get out there and rush. And Pierce, to me, even though he played a lot of football, still has a lot more room to grow his game in terms of the variety of pass rushing opportunities that he can present. Because right now he's sort of still raw in that aspect, but they can coach him up on how to get to the quarterback in a multitude of ways. But he has the thing you can't coach, and that's the requisite athleticism and ability.
Chatting with Emory Hunt, CBS Sports Football Game Plan. He's with us here on GCR. Emory, if I move over to cornerback, right? Like I just always default to this. The Ravens they're always going to draft a cornerback. Like that's the way that it's going to go. We're going to get excited about all these other things, and they just say, yeah, this is the cornerback we're taking because they like to build from the outside in. I know Amos, Hairston, some of the names that seem to be in that range. I'll present it the same way. Who are the players that you say, and I appreciate what you just said about, hey, don't worry too much about this, but you know how this goes. Who are the players that you think at cornerback are the most impact that are reasonable to be in that range?
I mean, if, Siobhan Ravel is there, even though he's coming off CL, that would be one I would definitely run up there and grab, because he is tremendously athletic, great ball skills, all of those things. Talk about Amos. Noah Williams is another one out of Cal. I thought Noah Williams had a phenomenal East-West Shrine Bowl. Physical corner, press corner, and has ball skills. So to me, that's checking all the boxes. Like, guys that can find the football and turn the ball over, give me those guys 10 times out of 10. I also feel like a lot of people are sleeping on, and we know there's a track record here, Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame. And so because he wasn't as healthy this season, people forget how good he is, or as a prospect, or was as a prospect. So to me, that's somebody that you want. Will Johnson, if he's sliding, and no one's talking really much about him. Another underrated name, Robert Longerbeam out of Rutgers. And the reason why I bring him up, every year since Greg Schiano has gotten back, I've been impressed with a defensive player that they have in the draft class. Like, Longerbeam is scrappy. He's a terrific man-to-man corner, kind of like Nate Wiggins, and I think he is someone that does a fantastic job of being able to mirror and match. He clicks and close on these routes and able to drive on the ball and turn it over. So this is another year where, and I was glad Baltimore did a great job in getting Nate Wiggins, because I was on the show screaming about them in the corner, and they went ahead. And I think like you said, they could double down on corner again and get a tremendous playmaker.
Let me go to the offensive line, because I will acknowledge that something that I've become fixated on in the last couple of weeks is the idea of, when you lost Patrick McCary, yes, you lost your left guard, and we think that maybe Andrew Voorhees is going to be ready to be that guy. But you also lost the thing that the Ravens valued so significantly, which was having someone who was capable of playing all 5 offensive line positions, and frankly did play all 5 offensive line positions during his time in Baltimore. I am more and more enamored with the idea of Gray Zabel, and it's specifically because of the value that I saw from what they got out of Patrick McCary, that within seasons they could have him lined up at one spot one week and another spot another week, and he was comfortable. And I don't know that we know that Gray Zabel can do the NFL level just yet, but it feels like there's at least a chance that he might be someone who's capable of doing that. Maybe he's your left guard next year, but maybe he's just that guy that can play everywhere for a few years to come.
Well, and you can't go wrong. We just talked about rubber stamping prospects from Rutgers. You could rubber stamp these offensive linemen from North Dakota State. And Zabel, another one of these guys that had a fantastic Senior Bowl. And it was impressive because, again, he went out there after playing a 16-game season where they ended up winning the national championship, and went and participated in the whole week out there in Mobile and dominated. So, yes, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I would also throw out Donovan Jackson.
Okay.
How about that from Ohio?
Yep.
A guy that, started games at left tackle, played extremely well at left tackle when he was pushed out there because of injury, but he's a guard. So now you get best of both worlds, a guy that has done it at a higher level than Zabel, but also shows you that he can dominate at 2 positions, because he has done that at the collegiate level. So, yeah, there are options here for this football team. I love Joshua Gray, a guard out of Oregon State that can also play tackle as well. It's funny because he dominates like he's 6'6", 330 as opposed to 6'3", 300. Another one of these guys that can play both guard and tackle. And another one that I'll toss out there, Marcus Ware of Montana State, can play guard, tackle, or center. He's probably going to end up playing on the interior as a pro, guard and or center. But again, gives you that crossover ability. And he was up when they came off a very long season and dominated at the East-West Shrine Bowl.
That's the type of player that Patrick McCary had been for the Ravens. I like the sounds of that. It's funny, my friend Eric Edholm from NFL.com was still trying to push to me that he still likes the idea of Josh Simmons for the Ravens, and I said, boy, it just seems like tackle would be off the table since they brought back Ronnie Stanley, but his point is well taken, which is, one, at the moment the Ravens have literally 2 tackles on their roster. They still need depth at that position, and Ronnie Stanley has, certainly an injury history that you do have to consider in this, and that maybe he could slide in and play left guard for a little while if necessary, and that what you'd really be getting is someone that if he was healthy would be going much earlier, that this is your chance to steal value at 27 because that's where Josh Simmons might fall. What do you make of that argument?
Yeah, again, it's because every season, mid-season, when injuries start to pile up, we always hear people say, man, there's just not enough good offensive linemen out there. So if you have a chance to grab one that's good, like Simmons is, you do it, right? And you don't think nothing of it. You know who does a really good job of that? The New Orleans Saints. They always tend to draft offense, and right when you think they're kind of good at tackle or guard, they don't need that. And next thing you know, the guy is starting and is dominating, and now they have a really good offensive line. So I agree with Eric. Like, if you have a chance to grab him, get him. Again, because at the end of the day, the Ravens have the one piece that is that helps the team going, and that's Lamar Jackson.
Right.
So anytime you get a chance to get a great player at 27 through 32, take him. No matter that's the true best player available, because you have a quarterback that can kind of keep the team afloat while you stockpile targeted pieces in a draft.
Give me a name tight end wise. Look, the Ravens have 3 tight ends, so nobody would think that they'd be in the market for a tight end, but they're all free agents after this season, and we assume Isaiah Likely is going to be back, like come hell or high water, whatever that takes. And the Ravens are saying the right things about Mark Andrews, but it just does not feel like you're going to be able to pay both of those guys, and so I think he's likely to be gone. Is there someone mid to late rounds that you would say, here's how you're finding your next Isaiah Likely? Is the tight end that you should be thinking about at that point?
I'm surprised no one's talking about this tight end. I'm a big fan of him. Mason Tharp out of Texas Tech, because he is 6'9", and can go up and get the football and has the grace to get both feet down in bounds and played that passing offense at Texas Tech. I am shocked that no one is talking about him, because this is the type of guy that really creates matchup problems. You talk about creating matchup problems, that's when you want. So he's one of those guys that you kind of say, man, this is, kind of what I want. But the tight end I compared to Mark Andrews in his class, is probably going to be going before Baltimore is thinking about getting a tight end, is Mason Taylor. Same type of guy, what I'm saying, can block well enough, good on the move, good route runner, does a lot of things really well. If, that will be someone, if you feel like, hey, it's the second round, let's kind of, prep for the future. Let's get a guy like that. That would be a really savvy move right there for Baltimore.
I have to admit, my sidekick is obsessed with Harold Fannin, like obsessed with the guy. And admittedly, his numbers, of course, are eye-popping. Why is he not thought of as a more surefire prospect?
Because he's not athletic. And that's something that your eyes can see. Like, you watch him, you're like, I'm not seeing the athleticism that everybody's talking about. He's a very good receiver. He can catch the ball. He's consistent at that. He's strong. But you're watching a guy that's probably not, like, and Isaiah Likely was someone that was kind of athletic and stiff at the same time, just like David Njoku. But both of those guys are more athletic than Harold Fannin. So that's the difference. I would also toss out another aspect that's underrated that people forgot about how good he was. Benjamin Urasek of Georgia, because he was at Stanford. It looked like he was going to be the next line of great tight ends coming out of Stanford. Then he goes to Georgia, and they just let him just be a blocker. And he ends up being a very good blocker. But this dude still can get out there and catch passes, still get out there and get buckets. So that's another one that people need to start keeping their eye on.
Emory Hunt, no one does the work that you do going up to the draft every year. Remind everybody how they can find the guide, everything that they could possibly need to know to be ready for 2 weeks from Thursday night.
Listen, you go to footballgameplan.com/2025 draft guide. This year, we broke our own record set the last couple of years. Every year we break a record. This year, over 1,200 individual scouting reports. So you're going to get exactly 1,210 scouting reports and another over 50 PFL draft prospects. So we know some of these guys are up there in Canada end up playing on rosters or end up in preseason. So you get the most in-depth largest draft guide in existence at your fingertips. footballgameplan.com/2025 draft guide.
You are the best, man. Emory Hunt at FB GamePlan. Always appreciate you, brother. Are we seeing you on CBS in the next couple of weeks?
Yes, you will. I'll be on day 2 and day 3 coverage down in Fort Lauderdale.
Love it, man. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for doing this, and we will talk again real soon, all right?
Appreciate you having me, as always.
Thanks, buddy. Emory Hunt with us here on GCR. I am starting to like come around to, and you hear it's a couple of people that have told me they're not quite as high in Emmanuel as KZ and I were. I don't think that Malachi Starks gets there, but like I am very high on Malachi Starks. I'm extraordinarily high on Malachi Starks. The Gray Zabel thing is one that I have really been selling myself on. Like that this makes a lot of sense. The problem being that those two players, or those three if you include Emmanuel, are guys at positions that I don't think are the most important. But as far as value and what they could bring at that spot, I really am enamored with those two things. Outside of that, like none of the cornerbacks to me are guys that I'm, and maybe just need to watch some more of the tape and see how I feel about them, but none of them are guys that I am obsessed with. If somehow Mike Green were there, I would say I'm obsessed with Mike Green. But outside of that, at edge rush, I really do like Pierce. Like if Pierce is sitting there at 27, I'd feel a way about that.
Pierce feels like the only one that I feel like I'd be okay with right now as far as first round edge rush, just because I don't trust the organization, to handle these edge rushers correctly.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I understand that. Yeah, I get that entirely.
James
but
Pierce seems like the outside I guess
right.
Carter, but like.
No, I still feel that way about Mike Green. I think I've seen enough as what's his face, the internet, the election guy always says. David Cook is in enough. I've seen enough. Mike Green. I'm very confident in Mike Green, but I just don't think that he's going to get there, so it kind of doesn't matter to me. But yeah, James Pierce, I'd maybe you'd throw him in that conversation. Those are the kind of handful of names that I've come around on. Like I've watched a little bit more, I've done a little bit more work, and I find myself. And as disappointing as it was when we did our exercise and the pick ended up being Derek Harmon, like it was disappointing. But then I would turn around and say, I really like Derek Harmon. Like I really, really like Derek Harmon as a football player. So I don't know how much it helps, but I don't know that I could be disappointed if they got to 27 and said, yeah, Derek Harmon's the guy, because look at him. He's the guy. I don't think I could be disappointed by that. I had somebody ask if we're going to do a draft show. I used to love doing the draft shows. Part of it, both KZ and I kind of, we don't do as much exhaustive work as we used to do on the draft. So that was part of the reason. If you were a business, would like us to do a live draft stream,
rather than just doing it here.
Well, I mean, like one time we did it at where did we do it? Gus Edwards was doing an event, and we went and did it there, and I can't remember where it was. Oh, I think it was at Looney's in Perry Hall, and that was great. We enjoyed that. I would do it here, but I would just need somebody. With all respect, there were years that KZ and I did this, and we kind of agreed that we didn't care how much we were getting paid. And I got kids. They got baseball. They got things they're doing. I just can't do the same things. I can't do it for fun anymore. Like I'm sure. KZ and I would probably be willing to hop on like a live reaction stream or something like that. But like to do a full first round thing, there would need to be some business support. So if you want to do that, by all means, we'll. By the way, tough sell. Don't care about it the way that I used to, but yeah, pay me.
But yeah, we'll do it.
Right, pay me. Trust me, if you do, I will be studying like hell in the weeks leading up. And I am still doing work on it. But I would say it's unlikely we do a full first round show is where I think I'm at. But that can change. That can change at any point. Hey, have we gotten confirmation from Proctor yet about? Did you talk to Gwen? What do we do over there?
To Proctor. Yeah.
You haven't talked to Proctor?
No.
And you haven't talked to Gwen?
No, I have talked to Gwen.
You have talked to
Yeah,
Gwen.
she's down.
She's doing it.
Yeah.
Do we know what was on the one that they did at Miami?
No.
We should probably get that answer.
As in, like,
was it
just, like,
onions,
cheese
mushrooms, type of cheese, peppers, condiments? Like, you can't put your. It's already submerged in the milkshake, so you can't put your own condiments on at that point. So what was on the cheesesteak when it got submerged in the milkshake? These are the types of questions that people need to know when we make this cheesesteak milkshake. You're going to work on that. And I'm sure you were still working on
cheese. It looked like it was pretty bland.
Just
cheese whiz and steak.
That's it?
Well, I mean, hold on, I'm watching a video now of them
creating the cheesesteak milkshake. This is important. Proctor lost our women's bracket contest. Yeah, I know. But what's on it?
It's just steak and cheese whiz, and then they
no condiment whatsoever. No peppers, onions, nothing.
Mm-mm.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, here, do you want me to send you the
I feel like it should have more cheesesteakiness to it. Are these like steak? This is just like a steak-em on a sandwich?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. And then they throw it in. Yeah, they throw it in. You know, and they mix it in. They mix it in with the milkshake. So they put in like another like mini like kind of cheesesteak in like the center, and then they like add more milkshake to it, and then they throw like another one on top as like a garnish. It looks.
Okay, I don't know about that. All right, whatever. Y'all
figure
it out.
What do you mean?
You guys figured it out. You and Gwen. But I tell you what, I trust Gwen. Let Gwen make the decision on what's on this cheesesteak.
Well, okay, so like in terms of milkshake, then we'll just like go to Sonic, or like what's the?
No, I mean, yeah, I don't care.
Okay,
I really don't care.
Just mix in a cheesesteak.
Yeah, we got this. We can do this. This is no problem.
That doesn't look good.
I had to duck out a little bit earlier from trivia last night, but apparently the boys were victorious. There were only 3 teams that showed up. I don't know what was going on last night.
Won that big national championship.
Yeah, but the championship game didn't start until 9 o'clock, as everybody on the internet pointed. Although it was 8:50, which was also annoying, because I was like, I'll be there, no problem. And then the game started at 8:50.
It actually started at 8:50.
Yeah. I thought that was one of those, like, the ceremonies at 8:50 for the 9 o'clock tip-off that we've all known and loved. But the game actually began right at 8:50. There were 3 sports questions. I don't know if you saw one of them that accidentally got posted in the chat, but you would have got
I didn't see.
It was
Don't worry.
What are the names of the new bats that the Yankees are using this season?
They're called like the Bomber Bats.
Exactly right, the Bomber Bats. There was a bonus question if you could name the guy that invented them, and I would not have gotten that.
Aaron Leinhart.
Is that right?
I believe so.
If you say so.
I mentioned him on Twitter.
I know, and I mentioned I knew that he was a Marlins coach, but I just didn't know what his name was. I couldn't have come up with that.
Yep, Aaron Leinhart. It's like spelled Leinhart, but yeah, Leinhart.
One of them was name the 4 Division I schools where Buzz Williams coached before taking the job at Maryland.
It was only 4?
Yeah,
I feel like he's been everywhere.
4 Division I schools.
Well, I mean, I could name them. So
go ahead.
There was B.A.&M. Virginia Tech. Marquette. And the other one before that, I said I could name it.
Yeah, I know you did.
So that's why I'm going to name it.
Right, go right ahead.
And it was...
Your boy got it.
It was New Orleans.
It was indeed New Orleans.
UNO.
That was indeed the 4th. Well done.
You think I don't know UNO?
I'm not sure. I have no idea. You struggled with that for a second. And then the other one last night, on this date in 1963, which golfer won his first of 6 Masters tournaments at the age of 23?
Gary Player.
No, it was not Gary Player. On this date in 1963, which golfer won his first of 6 Masters tournaments at the age of 23?
Today, like the 8th or the 7th?
It was yesterday,
yes.
Yes.
Yesterday, okay. Because that's important. Arnold Palmer.
Arnold Palmer won 4 Masters. Gary Player won 3 Masters.
Won 6. This guy did. Jack Nicklaus.
Knew
it.
On the third bounce. Most Masters wins of all time with 6. Second most is?
Did I say him already? So that means it's the guy I just named. Palmer.
No, Palmer was third with 4. Somebody won 5 Masters.
Tiger didn't win it 5 times, did he? Tiger.
Boy, that seems like it'd be a really good guess. Yes, Tiger Woods won the Masters 5 times.
Knew it.
Glad you got there, but not in 1963, obviously. Everybody thought it was Arnold, but and it's not dramatically different. Arnold won his first in 58.
Gotcha.
So 5 years earlier.
I was focusing too much on the year.
Yeah. The 6 is definitely the dead giveaway because Jack won it the most. All right, when we come back in, we're going to meet the new basketball coach at the Naval Academy, Jon Perry. He joins us next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an easy pass from driveeasymd.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at driveeasymd.com.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you, cooking and serving. But that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas Combo, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious filling sandwiches including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at Timonium Racecourse. We'll get you the opening date real soon.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time? The Baltimore Golf Academy has fun, instructional programs for the beginner golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at baltimore-golfacademy.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue on a Tuesday edition of the program. I had to do this a little bit earlier on because of his schedule, but we had our first opportunity to chat with the new head basketball coach at Navy, Coach Jon Perry, right here on GCR. What's a pleasure now to meet the new head coach at the Naval Academy. He is Coach Jon Perry, and he is with us this morning here on GCR. Coach, it's Glenn. It's great to chat with you. Thank you for taking the time, and congratulations.
Glenn, thanks so much, and it's an honor to be with you this morning.
Coach, if you could, just what this means to you. It's funny because I feel like some people are just sort of like born to be coaches, and given what your trajectory has been, it feels like you're one of those types of people. What does it mean to you to be able to succeed your mentor and become the new head basketball coach at the Naval Academy?
Yeah, it's a blessing. I grew up in a basketball family in the state of West Virginia, and Coach DeChellis gave me an opportunity a long time ago as a young guy in high school and believed in me. And, I've got wonderful relationships and experienced a lot of great things because of the game of basketball, and to now be at the United States Naval Academy, a place that the mission really speaks to me. And I have an opportunity to inspire and encourage others to pursue excellence daily here. It's a dream come true.
Could you tell me about that relationship with Coach DeChellis and going back to East Tennessee State, and like when to you thought like this is the path for me? Like I want to follow this route. I want to get into coaching.
Yeah, it's a great question. My sophomore year, Coach D was gone for recruiting, and the other assistants were putting us through a workout. And I think the goal, from what I've learned after the fact, the goal was to not get anybody hurt. Well, I was the guy that got hurt that day. Experienced a really bad knee injury, and didn't think I was ever going to play basketball again. I actually ended up tearing my ACL twice, but after this first tear, Coach just really put his arm around me, and I was struggling in a lot of ways, and it was the first time that I really wasn't able to be a part of a team. I was kind of on the outside looking in through the rehab, and he just saw something in me, and said, hey, you can really help this team from the sidelines. Why don't you transition into a student assistant? I've got some things I want you to do, and during the games, I want you to, do X, Y, and Z for the program. And it was something that I really needed at that point in my life to kind of keep me moving forward. And from there, during that experience, I was like, man, this coaching is awesome. Because you start to see how you can impact other people without actually having to be on the floor. And I started seeing beyond myself during that time. I think as a player, I was always worried about playing time and this, that, and the other. And then, when that opportunity is taken away to be able to run around and pass and catch and jump and shoot, you start realizing that, you can affect winning and people's overall development in a lot of different ways. So I'm forever grateful for Coach for that opportunity, because he kept me involved in the team. He saw something in me where I could add value. And I think that was a huge life lesson for me. And it just carried on from there. I mean, it was momentum. And, I experienced a second knee injury. And at that point, it was like, okay, I'm going to do the same thing. And then, eventually was able to come back, play my senior year. And after that, I think he and I had established a relationship, and he believed in me and helped me get my master's degree. And, the rest is history. Then I worked for him at Penn State for a number of years, where I met Stacy, my wife. We've been now married for 13 years and have two beautiful daughters, Charlotte and Josephine. And now it led me to Navy.
Did you ever have a moment on the path where you thought like, this is great, but I don't know if being a long-term assistant basketball coach in college is for me? I know at one point you had dipped down to the D3 level. Like, did you ever have any doubts? Or once you started doing it, did you just know, no, this is what I was meant to do?
Yeah, I think I've always meant to do this.
Yeah.
I've got basketball in my heart. I love people. I'm an energy person. I want to be around high energy people. I love pouring into people and investing into people. I love seeing people succeed. And that's part of, what I want to do in life is just be significant in others and help them, grow. So it's something that I'm really fortunate to be able to do.
He is Jon Perry. He's the new head basketball coach at Navy, and he is with us this morning here on GCR. Coach, obviously the opportunity at Navy is unique, and you've been there long enough that, like, this is the nice part, is that you don't have to learn or adjust or anything along those lines. But what is most special to you about the academy, Annapolis, how this job is different than maybe any other job that you might have in college basketball?
Well, I think the town of Annapolis and the support for the Naval Academy is second to none. So that in itself is very special. And I'm hopeful that we can continue the momentum from last year, and that everybody in the community will continue to come out and support these guys, because they put in so much time, and they want to be good, and they play for the name on the front. And that's exciting. And I think we've got a good basketball team, really fun to watch, and we've got a lot of experience coming back. As far as the academy goes, the mission speaks to me. Mission first, people always. It's an opportunity to help others get prepared to lead, ready to serve their country, and, built to win and be successful in life. And that's just something that the longer I'm here, the more that kind of gets ingrained into myself and to Stacy, and we just absolutely love the place.
Have you heard from any coaches, that you've made, friends that you've made along the way, that have almost said, like, hey, we're kind of jealous of you? We all know how things have changed in college basketball at this point, in college sports in general, and yet, and it's not that as if the academy is completely impervious to it, but certainly it's far different than at most jobs. Do you hear from any coaches that are like, hey, I kind of wish I was in your shoes. I kind of wish that was what I was doing, and these were the athletes that I was dealing with?
Yeah, there's colleagues in the profession that they're dealing with uncharted waters right now. They're trying to figure everything out year by year. They're in the player development business, and I think we are in the people development business here at the Naval Academy. And that's what speaks most to me is the larger purpose of graduating officers, to serve in the United States Navy and the Marine Corps. And so, it is a special opportunity where it's about education, it's about leadership development, and there is the larger purpose. And I think that from the outside looking in, it is a very attractive job these days.
You mentioned obviously trying to build off the momentum of what you guys were able to do, making the run to the Patriot League title game a year ago. I know perhaps we start with roster. I guess I need to ask the question, have you been able to talk to Austin at all? Do you feel like there's a chance that he could end up sticking around? Or are you guys going ahead and moving on and assuming that that's not going to be part of the plan?
Yeah, Austin's a great young guy, and he's been a part of a lot of the success we've had here recently, and as a phenomenal person. And we're just going day by day. He and I chat a lot, and we're just working through the process.
Okay. Donovan Draper, obviously, I know is a huge part of it as well. How much do you feel like, when you have cornerstone pieces like that are back, and when you've proven what you're capable of doing, how much confidence do you have in that ability, to your point, to take that next step and say, okay, we know we can get there. Now we're ready to go ahead and win the Patriot League next year?
Yeah, Donovan's a special young guy. He's going to be a senior, but he's really only played 2 years of college basketball because of the transition from football.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure he gets enough credit for what he's able to do on the basketball court with just such a limited amount of time of preparation. And so we're looking for a big spring and a big summer from him. I think we would love to be able to see him play more positions on the floor for us, and obviously what he can do on the defensive end with his instincts, shot blocking ability, rebounding ability. No one, I've coached and played with a lot of really good basketball players in my lifetime, and I've never seen someone be able to pursue a rebound like him and just know where that ball is going. So, he's a big piece to what we're doing. Just like the rest of the guys on the roster, though, we've got, a couple sophomores that started a lot for us, Jinu Kim and Jordan Pinnock, and Cam Cole came off the bench and gave us great minutes, and expecting great things out of those guys. Aiden Kehoe is a force inside, and I think he is really primed for a great senior year as well.
Coach, what did you learn about this group late in the regular season and then into the postseason that you do feel like gives them that opportunity to have it carry over? Like, what was there like a switch that flipped? Was there something that they started doing that you said, that we've been waiting for this? Now that we know they can do this, like, what from that gives you the best hope for it carrying over to next year?
Yeah, I think we shared, some experiences in the non-conference of some really close losses. Like, we were in every game, either leading every game, or it came down to a minute and a half, 2 minute, 3 minute game. And sometimes it just didn't work out for us. And I think sometimes as a group, you have to grow through that. The accountability piece in that, we started, instead of pointing fingers at each other, we started looking in the mirror at ourselves. And I think as a program, we just said, hey, we've got to start getting better and control what we can control. And that's ourselves, our attitude, our effort, our work ethic every day. And I think we got tougher as the year went on. I really do. The mental piece of winning and showing up every day and trying to do your best and compete in practice and trying to make the guy next to you better. I think that mental toughness piece really started to click for us, middle of January, end of January, and ultimately the larger purpose of playing for the name on the front. I think towards the end of the year, that was what it was all about.
The important. Well, let me ask this first. The thing that you do as a coach that maybe you recognize most, you're like, that's DeChellis coming out in me. Like that's that I know. Is there one thing that as a coach that you do that you just know you do it because you watched Ed do it or you heard Ed do it during the course of all of the years that you spent together?
Man, what a phenomenal question. I probably say a lot of things that he says just because I was coached by him. And it's funny, when I was a younger guy and being coached by him, he would say things and be like, what does he mean? Like, what is he trying to tell me right now, And then as I've been around him more and more, you start to realize, the messaging and what he was trying to get across with his Coach D-isms. So I would say it's probably some of those. The one thing that's going to stay consistent, though, is our three pillars, and that's defending and rebounding and taking care of the ball. As a player, I saw that work and win championships, and as a coach working underneath him, I've seen it work and win championships and win a lot of games. So we're going to continue to defend and rebound and take care of the ball, and that's one of the things that he would say constantly, and that's probably the thing that I'm going to say most to our team.
I love that. I think that's tremendous. And then this is the most important question. You've got somebody visiting Annapolis for the first time. You can take them out for one meal, any one place, and you're doing the ordering. Where is it that you're going, and what is it that you're ordering?
Ooh, I'm a Pips guy, and it's I grew up. I'm a small town guy, Milton, West Virginia. Grew up on a farm. I don't like all fancy stuff all the time, so there's nothing better than a cheesesteak from Pips.
Okay, I was going to say the hot dog, right? Like I was going to.
Yeah.
Did you say I don't think I've ever had a cheesesteak at Pips.
Yeah, the chicken cheesesteak is pretty good. Now I do love the hot dogs too now.
All right, that's not bad. I love that, by the way. I love that you're this simple. That's way. If it means I don't have to put on a tie, I'm in. We can.
Yeah. Plus, you got a great view. You're right there by Eagle Alley. You can sit by the water, and you get to experience the wonderful, wonderful place that is Annapolis.
That's awesome, Coach. So happy for you, for your family, and such great news for the academy. To be able to continue and sustain what it is that you all have built over these last decade plus. Congratulations again. Thank you for taking the time for us, and look forward to chatting with you again as you start getting ready for the start of the season. We really appreciate you doing this morning.
Yeah, it's my pleasure anytime, and super excited for this opportunity. Wish you all the best.
That's Jon Perry, the new basketball coach at the Naval Academy. Appreciate him taking the time to join us this morning. Paul Mancano from the Baltimore Banner just tweeted out, if Zach Eflin has to miss time with a shoulder injury, who replaces him in the Orioles rotation? And then reminds that, as we pointed out, Kyle Gibson probably not ready yet, still ramping up. We'll see. Maybe they just force it because of a need and say, hey, dude, you're a major league pitcher. Go out there and pitch. Reminder that Trevor Rogers is still on the IL. Not that anybody would be excited about it, but he, again, is at least a major league pitcher. Chase McDermott, who would be the next prospect up, also on the IL. The answer could be Brandon Young. That would be in line to make his big league debut. That could be next on the list if Zach Eflin were to miss.
Or Zach Eflin's okay, right?
Again, hopefully that's the case. Today's apparently Zach Eflin's birthday, by the way. Happy birthday, Zach. Hopefully that means. What does that have to do whether or not it's going to be good news?
It's his birthday. That's a good thing.
Did Jackson Merrill get hurt?
Did he?
Did I see that?
I did not see that. If
Somebody
Jackson
on.
hurt, then.
I saw that on somewhere on social.
No, I think he was just. I think
Just
he
had a day
rest
off?
Day.
Okay.
Yeah, and people
All
were flipping out there like, why is he getting a
Got
rest day?
it.
He's
Right.
20 years old.
That's my God.
What is he? 22, I guess.
And he's unbelievable. Yes, I can certainly understand that. All right. I feel like that's what we need to do. Why don't we go ahead and get a tidbit? Maybe we can wind down the show a little bit after the 12 o'clock. What a thought. What a thought. Tidbit brought to you today by the print issue of Press Box. Last week, that's it. Then it's gone. There'll be another baseball-themed issue that will be following this one. But you want to get this issue before it's gone, get to your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. Read it all at PressBoxOnline.com, the issue with David Rubenstein on the cover and Stan and I's lengthy sit-down with the Orioles owner.
Let's see. Florida trailed by 12 yesterday. They trailed by 9 to Auburn. They trailed by 10 to Texas Tech. They became the first national champion in the last 20 years to finish the tournament 3-0 when trailing by 8 points at any point.
Yeah, I mean, that number's nothing. Like I saw that floating around last night. 8 points is a close game. That's a 3-possession game. Like that's not double digits is when it starts to become something. That's sort of a forced number. Like, oh, if we go down to 8, then we can make the number. That's not there's
Down
nothing
by
about
3
that that's noteworthy. It's not noteworthy to be down 8 points.
All right, Florida, the Mickey Mouse championship for Florida.
Yes, clearly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a Mickey Mouse effort from the people that are trying to make it a thing.
The 48 national champions since Indiana went undefeated in 1976.
I did, however, see that 12 points was like tied for the third biggest. Like teams don't normally come back from like any deficits in national championship games.
Because it was the one
we brought up the one
that
that Kansas North Carolina won. Yeah,
and
but
it was another like 14-point one. I think.
Loyola Chicago went in like the 50s or
Oh,
something.
really?
Was also a 15-point deficit, I believe.
But yeah, so since going back to 76, every national champion, all 48 since 1976, have lost at least twice during the season. 40 of those 48 have lost a game by double digits at some point during the season. 7 have lost a game by 20 points, including Florida, who lost to Tennessee by 20.
Got their asses
season.
kicked.
Yeah, was that their last loss? That was February 1st. So was that their last?
That might have been.
And then one team lost. One team in that of those last 48 champions lost a game by 30 points at some point in the season.
Who was it?
UConn in 2014 lost a game by 30.
Sure.
During the season. No freshman played in the national championship game for the first time since 1989.
Yeah, I mean that's believable.
Yeah. That comes from Jared Burson, by the way, one of a college basketball statistician on Twitter. Oh yeah, and then so ironically, going back to teams lose games and they lose by a lot at times. National champions do. Houston lost 5 games all season by a combined total of 16 points. So you had that on the.
That's a bummer, man.
Yeah.
I'm not a Houston fan. I definitely was feeling something because I was hanging out with Tyus and because I had him in the bracket. But also, I've come around on Kelvin Sampson. I talked about this with Jeremy yesterday. Like, I have no negative feelings towards any of those guys that we thought might have been doing things like a little bit around the rules because, as I said yesterday, this is like being mad at somebody who's using steroids. I think everybody else was too. I think all of them were doing something. So I've and Kelvin Sampson at this point, and he kind of alluded to this, you have no idea if he's going to get another opportunity to be there. And there's also still a bit of Houston where, like, I guess they're a power conference team now because they're in the Big 12, but we don't really know what the Big 12 is. Like, it still seems like Houston was kind of a step behind, and so there is a little bit of if there could be an underdog like that. I don't know. I was feeling something for Houston, and I was bummed for Kelvin Sampson.
All right, and then Ovechkin, obviously the goal record the other night, 895, and doing it all with the Washington Capitals. So somebody shared out the list of top 25 guys, most home runs hit with with one single team. Like most career home runs with one team. So
wow.
Do you think you can name the top?
Okay, just want to clarify. They could have played for other teams?
No, they
had to play their entire career in one place.
And they hit all their home runs in that one place.
Huh. That's a very interesting. All right. Let me
So I mean, like, I guess I'm trying to figure out where I should make the cutoff here, because like there's no reason you shouldn't be able to get
Yeah, I'm sure.
almost all the names,
They're
but
all,
like,
they're all guys that hit. I'm going to say
yeah.
at least 400 home runs, right?
Yes, the top 25 the number 25 is 299. So if you want to do,
yeah, I don't
you
think we
said
do.
how
You
many-
want to do the 25? What are you, a
11
psychopath?
guys, 12 guys hit 400. 5 guys have hit over 500 with one. So we'll do the top 5, I guess.
Just the top 5.
Yeah.
So guys that hit over
easy,
500 home runs with one team.
Mhm.
Okay. Willie Mays.
No.
Oh no, he played for the. Yeah, that's right. He
Yeah.
played for the Mets. Yep. Damn, this might be harder than I thought it was. How about? Oh, he went somewhere else. Christ. It's actually kind of hard to think of guys that only played for one team.
Yeah.
Did Harmon Killebrew ever play for anybody else?
I guess
Just played
so. Yeah.
Okay.
Where did Harmon Killebrew play?
Michael Jack Schmidt.
Michael Jack Schmidt is number 1.
He's number 1
on the list.
Oh, my.
548 home runs, all in Philadelphia.
Well then, Mickey Mantle never played for anybody else, right?
Mickey Mantle did not play for anyone else. 536, number 2 on the list. Mickles Manning.
Ted Williams never
Mantle.
played for anybody else, did he?
No, he did not. 521 home runs, number 3 on the list. For old Ted Williams.
Now I'm getting them in order. Now there's some
Yeah.
pressure here. I'm like debating, did Willie McCovey play for somebody else?
He must have. Yeah, he's not on the list. Oh my gosh, Harmon Killebrew spent his final season in Kansas City. Otherwise, yeah, he would be number 1.
And yet my mother was crying seeing his. He didn't even finish his career in Minnesota.
He's a traitor.
Like I'm just going through all like the big, It's not Mark McGwire. It's not Sammy Sosa. It's not Frank Robinson. It's not Ken Griffey. It's not Alex Rodriguez. These guys hit more home runs, so it can't be them. It's not Manny Ramirez. It's not David Ortiz. How about Ernie Banks?
Ernie Banks is number 4. 512 home runs.
Didn't know if Ernie Banks had hit 500 home runs or not.
Ernie Banks has hit 512. One more than this guy with 511, number 5 on the list.
It's not Eddie Murray.
You're going to have to go back a little bit further.
Got to go back a little bit. Duke Snyder. Are we
Not
doing
Duke
old-timey
Snyder.
baseball names? Rocky
We are,
Calavito.
Yeah. No, not Rocky. Not
Eddie
Rocky.
Matthews.
Not Eddie Matthews. Is Eddie Matthews too far back?
Jimmy Fox.
Not Jimmy Fox.
Maryland native Jimmy Fox.
Where's he from?
Poolsville, I want to say. Mel Ott.
Mel Ott.
Yes?
Yes, Mel Ott is
Who-
number 5 on the list.
Okay.
Yeah, Mel Ott with the New York Giants, the New York baseball Giants.
I want to know where Jimmy Fox is. Let's see if I got that right.
Sudlers.
Sudlersville. That's
Sudlersville.
right. Sudlersville. Son of a bitch.
Oh, from the Eastern Shore. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. How about that? And then the other guys, if you expanded it to, there'd be 7 other guys if you expanded it to at least 400
Christ,
home runs.
This seems like a bad idea. I didn't do well with the first. Well, Cal Ripken
Yeah,
obviously
Cal
would be on
Ripken.
the
Cal
list because
Ripken's
we
on the
know he
list.
hit
He'd be
400
number
home
12 at
runs.
431. Number 6 with 493 home runs, all with the New York Yankees.
All with the Yankees.
From 1923 to 1939.
Lou Gehrig?
Lou Gehrig, number
Okay.
6 on the list. Do you want to go? You want me to just read off the list? Or?
Well, if you want to give me hints.
475, number 7 on the list. He played in St. Louis from 1941 to
Stan Musial.
Stan Musial, yes. Or were they always in St. Louis? I don't know, but he was with the Cardinals, yeah.
Right.
And then number 8 on the list, a Pirate. Also 475 home runs.
It's not Clemente because we know he got no Clemente.
Not Clemente.
By the way, what the F? I mean, are you kidding me?
I mean, come on, Surfside's pretty good. Have you ever had a Surfside?
No. What in the world? Holy dude.
Did they put it back? No, they didn't put it back.
I think they did.
They did? Okay.
I think they
all right,
did.
good.
So then it's got to be Willie Stargell, right?
Yes, Willie Stargell.
Okay.
Willie Stargell, number 8 on the list. 468 home runs, all with the Atlanta Braves. Retired in 2012.
Chipper
Jones, 452 with the Boston Red Sox.
All with the Boston Boston Red Sox. 452, all with the Boston Red Sox.
From 61 to 19.
Oh, Yaz.
Yep, Carl Yastrzemski, and then number 11 ahead of Cal, 449 home runs. From 91 to 2005 was all in Houston. Yeah, Houston.
Bagwell.
Jeff
Bagwell.
Yes. And then
That's a guy that I can't believe didn't get the 500 home runs, right? Like, how did he not get the 500?
I guess because he only played 14 seasons.
Yeah, I
or something.
guess.
Yeah. Al Kaline, just a bum, 399 home runs, so he does not make the cutoff.
Baltimore's own Al Kaline. All right, very good. Let's get tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
Apparently. So I saw this on Twitter and I said, well, this has got to have started from Ball Sack Sports, right? And like, Cody Bellinger will not be in the lineup because he ate some bad chicken wings and was puking all night.
Well, I mean,
apparently.
that happens, you know.
In fairness, how many times? Like, how do they know? Is today an afternoon game?
Yeah, they're playing like 1 or something.
Okay, I was gonna say, because how in the world?
It's also like snowing in Detroit, I think, and it's like.
Oh, it's very weird.
Not
very,
not
very
like
weird.
a blizzard, but like it's it's freezing.
All right. I don't think it'll be snowing in Arizona tonight, where the Orioles and the Diamondbacks will continue their series. As we mentioned, great news. Charlie Morton on the Jeremy, by the way, I was listening on the way in, and Jeremy was going on about how he loves the Orioles tonight. He thinks Charlie Morton's due for a.
I would hammer the D-backs.
If
I were a betting man.
There's just zero chance that I'm putting American dollars on Charlie Morton. It is just not happening.
Maybe if his strikeout number is like 4.5, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. But of course, this means that Jeremy's going to be right, and we're going to sit here tomorrow like, what were we doing?
7 innings.
What were we doing?
He's going to go 9 innings. They're like, you were about Zach Efron?
Right.
I got 9 innings. I mean,
Masson 2, Orioles, Diamondbacks 940, Charlie Morton and Merrill Kelly, and it also will be on MLB Network if you happen to live in the San Diego market or whatever the athletics market is now. And
Northern California?
I don't know what their media market is at this point. I think they're still on the Bay Area network, so I think it's all the Bay Area. But whatever the athletics media market is, if you live there, I assume Sacramento. How hilarious it would be if Sacramento is actually like the Giants media market, and they don't even get I don't know. Whatever. Moral of the story is, you can watch it if you happen to live in those places. MLB Network. Loyola and Towson lacrosse, 6 o'clock tonight on Flow Sports from Johnny Unitas Stadium. Other baseball tonight, Masson, Dodgers National, 6:45, MLB Network, White Sox Guardians, 4:10, Padres Athletics, 10:05, TBS Phillies Braves, 7:15, MLB TV, Astros Mariners at 9:40. Wizards Pacers at 7 on Monumental. Did you know this was the last week of the regular season?
For what?
For the NBA?
Oh, for the NBA. Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense, but I didn't realize that.
My fantasy matchup's coming to an end, so yeah.
They also do the weird bit where they don't play on Saturday.
So everyone can play on Sunday?
Yeah, I think so. Everybody's playing on the final day of the regular season.
Imagining that there's gonna be some tight regular season races.
I don't know.
But they have this play-in, which is
right.
Which is kind of the
Wizards Pacers 7 o'clock tonight on Monumental. TNT and True TV. Celtics Knicks 7:30. Warriors Suns at 10. Because what national audience needs is more Phoenix Suns. Christ.
Are they in or what's?
I haven't even bothered to look. I gotta be honest with you. I'm so checked out on the Suns.
I know. We haven't had NBA corner in a while, so
right.
We don't know what's going on.
They are currently 2.5 games back of the final play-in spot.
They're done.
Yeah, they're cooked.
Their
goose is cooked.
They're done.
Yeah, dude,
that is bad.
Pathetic.
Who's coaching right now?
Pathetic. It's still
Not Monty for a while.
It's still the Budenholzer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is he done?
I would assume. And the whole thing's cooked. God, what an embarrassment. Ugh. Anyway, I'm the only person who cares, so I don't want to spend too much time about it. What's that?
I said I thought it was Monty Williams.
Oh, no, it's not been Monty Williams for a minute. Well, Monty Williams' name came up recently. Oh, Steve Blake. Steve Blake brought up Monty Williams, and they were together in Phoenix. ESPN Maple Leafs Panthers at 7, Golden Knights Avalanche at 9:30. Here's a weird bit. Apparently, a couple late night shows wanted Alex Ovechkin to come on this week, and he said no because I gotta be thinking about the playoff push, but they're off for 4 days.
They are off for 4 days, which is
so it's a little weird
that.
I mean, it allowed him to get plenty drunk, I assume.
Yeah.
That might be the real reason why he chose not to do these late night shows. Anyway, yeah, the Maple Leafs Panthers 7, Golden Knights Avalanche 9:30 on ESPN. Paramount Plus for Champions League this afternoon. Arsenal Real Madrid at 3 and Bayern Munich Inter Milan at 3. And CW for WWE NXT tonight at 8. Non-sports.
Yeah, we got a few things. I guess the big highlight would be The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. That is the 6th and final season.
I didn't know we were still doing The Handmaid's Tale.
6th and final season.
I didn't know that was still a
out
thing.
today
I have
on Hulu.
never watched.
I haven't watched it either. My mom watches it. She likes it. So
I watched. I'm almost caught up on Dying for Sex. It's not as.
There's only like what, 2 episodes?
No.
The whole series. Oh, the whole series came out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm 7 in. So, it's not as funny, and I get it. Somebody's gonna say like, it's someone dying of cancer, breast cancer. How could it be funny? But the way it was presented to me, thought it was going to be. And I know, like, there's moments. I don't know. I like it, but I don't.
It's much more heavy than.
It's definitely heavier, and like, it's very. I like what they would say is it's very real, but you still have to have like a general level of likability for characters, and I'm not really sure that any of them are very likable. I don't know. It's fine. I'm not angry that I spent time with it, but it's weird. It's a very weird show. Anyway, go ahead.
We got there are several things though. Prime Video has Spy High. This is a docuseries. I thought was going to be, when I initially looked at it, I thought it was going to be a potential book clubber. It does not look very good at all. There's some 15-year-old kid, this family, I guess.
We're apparently never doing book club again.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm not. Like, I don't know when the next time is because it's baseball season. We don't get the crossover between the two shows.
This 15-year-old filed a lawsuit against the school system because they were apparently they were spying on him and accused him of selling drugs. Like, they gave all the students laptops, and then apparently they were logged into the laptops and could allegedly see them into their bedrooms. So it was kind of weird.
That's very weird.
Yeah, it was very weird, but the way the documentary looks, it doesn't look like a good documentary. Like, they didn't.
Okay.
There's probably a story there, but it doesn't look all that interesting. So that's on Prime Video if you're very bored tonight. Also, if you're very bored tonight, it is of course The Clubhouse on Netflix. This is the A Year with the Red Sox.
Sure.
If you want to spend 2020, if you want to relive 2024,
get right on
Boston
that.
Red Sox. That's out on Netflix.
Right on
today.
that.
Also, Letterman, my next guest needs no introduction.
Oh, it's Caitlin Clark, right? Yeah, I did see that.
It's Caitlin Clark today.
Yeah.
On Netflix, new episode of Daredevil, Born Again on Disney+.
That makes sense. He's an Indiana guy. I can see why he'd, yeah.
St. Dennis Medical tonight on NBC, and then a big duo on Fallon. You got Gigi Hadid and Triple H.
Oh, I've been waiting to see if they were going to do this because you don't know, but Gigi Hadid and Triple H, they're actually promoting the tariffs.
What?
That's the...
Triple H?
Well, there's been a lot of negativity towards them, so actually Triple H would make a lot of sense. They've been wanting to have so Gigi Hadid and Triple H. They're actually doing a musical number about why the tariffs.
Is Fallon going to join in? I would assume.
It's Jimmy Fallon. I'm going to guess about why it is the tariffs are actually going to help us.
And Fallon's all for the tariffs as well.
Fallon will be for whatever anybody wants him to be for. I'm pretty sure.
You're on the show? Sweet.
Yeah, right.
I'm in.
I'm pretty sure that's the way that it works.
Walton Goggins is on Seth Meyers alongside Sadie Sink.
I don't know who Sadie Sink
She is. Oh, she was on Stranger Things, I think.
Oh, okay.
And now she's on Broadway. She's in everyone's favorite Broadway, current Broadway production. John Proctor is the villain.
Oh, Chris Ayers sent me a whole thing. What is this? What should we know here? And I'm like, I actually
she's
no
pretty
idea.
accurate, but
yeah, we all agree. God, we've got to do
about
more with that. We really need to do more with that.
John Proctor is the villain.
Yeah, we gotta get content out of that. Particularly when he comes in here, we gotta have a whole. We gotta do a Photoshop. We gotta do.
I don't know anything about John Proctor as the villain either, though. So
it's fine, but you don't need to. Just take the images and put John's face onto them. It's perfect. It's perfect.
And then I think that's pretty much it. David Allen Greer from St. Dennis Medical and Megan Fahey from White Lotus. Never mind. No, she's on something else. They're on Camel, by the way.
Oh, but they're promoting White Lotus.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they're.
Maybe she was on an earlier season White Lotus. I don't know. She's in some movie called Drop that looks pretty not good.
Oh, okay, good.
It's from the director of Happy Death Day. And so Megan Fahey is this mother. She's got her kid is at home. And I guess her sister's watching. And she goes out, so she's trying to get back in the dating pool. So she goes out on a date, and then she starts getting airdrops to her phone. So that's why it's called Drop. And the guy is like, I'm inside your house. I'm going to kill your family.
I attempted to start watching Y2K at the gym yesterday.
Okay. Pretty good?
No.
No?
No.
It's Kyle Mooney.
It's so... And by the way, the part that I watched, he was barely in it.
So maybe he comes in
It's
big
not
part later on.
good. It's very, very bad.
Supposed to be coming of age, I thought.
Yeah, it's bad. Just bad. Although, I mean, maybe I'll finish it. Like, I don't give up on things. I had to watch I was on the elliptical, and I, watched the first 15 minutes, and I'm like, I got to do something else with my time, man. This is bad. Bad.
Rachel Ziegler's in it. Yeah. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
The kid Leroy plays a role. That's great.
I wouldn't know what the kid Leroy looked
He's
like.
I don't know. He's a white kid with long hair.
Okay. I'm familiar with the song that he did with Justin Bieber, but that's the list of things that I got. I don't really know any of the rest of it. All right. I think that's enough. Anything else?
Nah, yeah, that's it.
All right. Very good. Thanks today to Patrick Stevens. Thanks to new Navy basketball coach Jon Perry, and to Emory Hunt. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the
Can You Take Me Higher
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. No Drew tomorrow?
No Drew tomorrow.
Anything tomorrow?
No Drew.
Are we doing the thing?
The
good one. The one that would be a good guess.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure.
All right.
At the moment, no. Would be the answer to that question.
Why would we do that? All right, thanks to everybody at Pressbox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pay. What do we just coming up on the show tomorrow? Nothing.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about the Orioles.
Sure. Easy Pass, Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses, helpmygamblingproblem.org, Costas Inn, Maryland Sports, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Tuesday night. Go Birds.
Go Charlie Morton.
Go Loyola or Towson Lacrosse. Duke sucks.